Welcome back to the afternoon sessions of the Forest Products Paper and Packaging Breakout. My name is Alfred Becker and I will be your moderator for this afternoon. I'd like to introduce Hans-Peter Arecker, who is the Chief Information Officer at Perlen Packaging for 15 years now. He's responsible for the IT strategy of all Perlen business units. Also welcome Philipp Morgenthaler, the Chief Operating Officer at Perlen. He's responsible for manufacturing locations around the world, and he's with Perlen since almost 12 years. And last but not least, welcome Thomas Blöchel, T.CON COO and Managing Director, who is also for 15 years with the company. So we brought a lot of experience on stage. Many thanks to all speakers for making this session possible. Let's hear how Perlen Packaging was able to innovate from the core in the heavily regulated environment of pharmaceutical packaging. Dear participants, if you have questions, please use the chat. Dear presenters, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you very much. Hello together. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this session. We at T.CON and also me personally working together with Perlen Packaging for more than 15 years. All this time we did many projects together. There were, I think, ERP implementations, rollouts, I think a lot of improvements on integration and automation year by year. I already mentioned the last 15 years. And what I'm always impressed about is how Perlen Packaging manage all of that globally with their small team. Maybe we will find some answers on that today, how they do that. In the next couple of minutes, we will get information from Hans-Peter and Philipp about Perlen Packaging's challenges on the global pharma market and their strategies in production and IT to compare successfully on that. And with this, I would like to hand over to Philipp to take us into Perlen Packaging's world. Philipp, it's yours.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Thomas. I'm happy to share some of our experience and first of all, our company with you. So who are we? Who is Perlen Packaging? Well, we are actually part of the chemical and paper holding here headquartered in Perlen in the state of Lucerne in Switzerland. The chemical and paper holding has 3 individual divisions, very separated from each other. The biggest division is still the Perlen Paper AG, who produces newspaper and magazine paper here in the site in Lucerne. About 50% of the CPH turnover is coming from the Perlen Paper. We are the second biggest division. We produce PVC, PVDC packaging films for the pharmaceutical industry. We make about 30% of the business. And then the Zeochem is the smallest unit, but nevertheless, it's the first unit from the CPH. Zeochem was where the company was founded in 1818. So the company is more than 200 years old. It's a stock listed company, but still in family control. 57% of the shares are still belong to the founding family. So the Zeochem makes about 20% of the turnover of the company. The turnover total of the CPH is around 500 million, and we employ around 1,000 people worldwide. So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with the global pharma blister packaging. So everybody knows what a blister is. A blister normally has 2 sides. Mostly on top you have the aluminum, which covers the blister, and then you have the so-called the bottom film, which is generally a plastic film. And as you can see here, this plastic film is mainly PVC or PVDC. So 55% of all blisters on the market are plain PVC, and 40% have a PVDC coating. So these are the core competencies of Perlen Packaging: manufacturing PVC itself, and coating it with PVDC. What do we do with the products? We protect the pills from water vapor. Everybody probably see if you keep a tablet for too long, it starts to dissolve itself. That's because of the water vapor. So with our products, we protect the pills, and therefore we give the pills a better shelf life. In the pharmaceutical market, we are on the, well, as I always say, we are on the lucky side of the business because pharmaceutical markets normally grow. So the compounded annual growth rate worldwide between 2018 and 2023 is 3 to 6%. So also during the COVID crisis we just had, Perlen was actually growing. We had a record year last year because our products were really requested. There was storms on the pharmacies. People were buying several pills, and our customers were afraid that we are going to be shut down. So they ordered a lot of material. Generally, blister packaging in this pharmaceutical market is growing by 4 to 7%. And also we are on the good side because we are basically the market leader for PVDC coated products. And there you see an even higher growth rate of 6 to 9%, excuse me, per annum. So welcome to the world of pharma blister packaging. Who are our customers? You see here basically the who of the pharmaceutical industry. We work with 42% approximately multinational customers, and we also have 58% local customers. Our biggest group is the Novartis group, not actually here in Switzerland, but worldwide. We make most of the business with Novartis. And a big business is also, as I said, the local customers. Local customers means very often small packaging companies. So the pharmaceutical industry, they don't pack their products anymore themselves. More and more they do their outsourcing to packaging companies. So packaging companies receive the APIs, the pills from the pharmaceutical industry, and they buy our products and some aluminum foil, and then they pack the pills. So now, what is the challenge in our industry? What do our customers expect from us? They expect compliance with the highest standards. So we are in a regulated industry. Our manufacturing sites are certified according to ISO 15378. This is a certification for primary packaging for the pharmaceutical industry. And within GMP, good manufacturing practice is key. That's a key for our customers. And that means basically hygiene concepts, traceability, and training. And all the traceability we do over our over IT systems. We have further certifications, ISO 9001 as a basis for all sites, also the logistic sites. We have our own drug master files according to the United States Food and Drug Administration. And as anywhere else, China has its own regulations. So we are also in compliance with the Chinese Center for Drug Evaluation. And in the site in Germany, we also have a certification according to the ISO 15001 standard. So this is the world we are in, and how do we now integrate the IT, and how does IT help us to get our challenges done? That's what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. So Perlen Packaging, what's our production network? We have 5 sites globally. The company evolved 1954 as a packaging plant of the Perlen paper industry, where we coated all kinds of papers. In the 1970s, we started to develop the first blister packagings together with the company Sondo here in Switzerland. And out of that, our packaging competence and pharma competence evolved. 2006, we jumped over the big pond the first time. We opened a logistics center in Whippany, New Jersey. 2007, we took over our long-time partner Mülheim. Mülheim is the center of excellence for the production of the PVC monofilms. Perlen is the coating center. Then 2011, we ran out of capacity in Perlen. We started an international expansion strategy, which the first step was the opening of our site in Suzhou, which is basically a copy of the Swiss site, a competence center for the coating operations. And in 2008, we took a stage 60% in our long-term service supplier Sequoia at that time. We renamed it into Perlen Packaging, And actually just in June of last year, we took over the last 40%. So with our network 2020, we had a 162 million net sales with around 450 employees, and we are still growing. And within about the next 2 years, we should hit the 500 employees. And with this, we are employee-wise, we are the biggest unit of the chemical and paper holding. So the coating process, this is the key, what we do. So on the top left picture, you see the coating line in our site in China. So this is quite a big machine. It's about 90 meters long, has 4 coating units where we apply the PVDC coating to the PVC, which then basically already gives the final physical properties of the film. In the middle on top, you see the control center. That's where all the data comes together. We have there 4 screens. Right in the middle underneath, you see the main control screen. This is the machine setting. Speciality about the machine setting is these machine settings are done by only 2 employees in the company here in Perlen. The data is entered into SAP, and in China, they load the data from SAP. They do not have access to any paper copies, and they do not have access to change these settings by themselves. On the left side, you see the screen where we enter the reel information. So the big reel you see there, it's a PVC reel. This is going to be entered in the machine. When the reel is going into the machine, we scan a barcode. The data is actually given onto the screen where the operator stands in front. The data is given to SAP, and from there the traceability of the reel through the machine starts. So all data is actually, we have an interface between SAP and the machine here right at the machine. On the right, on top, we see the camera systems. We have 100% camera inspection to inspect the surface of the film, the defects, which are critical for our customers. And on the bottom, we have also 100% inline thickness measurement device, where we control the thickness of the PVDC, which is our core competence. The PVDC in the end gives the barrier properties and the protection of the pills. So these are our 2 most quality critical tools. So we have machine settings from SAP, and we have our 2 peripheral quality inspection systems, and all this together gives us our high competence to achieve the pharmaceutical requirements, especially, as I said, for traceability and for quality. So this was for the introduction of Perlen packaging and our coating process. I will now hand over to Hans-Peter Ahlwecker, who will introduce you into our IT competence.
So, hello everybody from my side. I would like to give you some insights of how we address all these challenges that Philip already mentioned till now, and probably some of them he will mention later on. First of all, some information about our IT organization, which is quite special, I think. On the left side, you see these black boxes where our cross-divisional functions are described. So you see, most important on top at the moment is the IT security, the IT application, which is mainly what we are talking about today. We also have infrastructure, services, and administration and compliance. Very important, all these functions are staffed from members that are contracted in the divisions. So I myself, as the CIO on the left, I am working actually for Perlen Paper. The rest of the team is either in paper or in packaging. So there is exactly 0 headcount on the for IT on the CPH level. So that makes it quite special and also quite difficult to handle sometimes. On the cross-divisional function, we define the IT strategy and the IT rules. With rules, I'm talking about, meaning security rules, application standards, and so on. But then they are implemented by this team and directly in the divisions. So, for example, we have SAP as a standard for applications. but we have an application team in Perlen paper and in Perlen packaging. And we support with these teams, we support horizontally via the IT application cross-divisional function, also our colleagues from T.CON, from the chemistry division. So this is a typical matrix organization with all its advantages and disadvantages, but that's how we can handle the whole process all over with 13.6 full-time equivalents, which are staffing the IT in all the 3 divisions, and also handling the cross-divisional functions and the cross-divisional challenges. But how do we handle this? Of course, it's not possible to do everything with the 13.6 FTEs. So we are strongly relying on our partners like T.CON, Thomas. I think in the introduction about the 2 of us, they said that we are working for our companies for more than 15 years. So that's more or less how long I know T.CON, I know Thomas, and a lot of others. We have other partners for infrastructure in the countries. We have a Chinese partner doing all the base IT, the infrastructural IT in China, and T.CON is doing all the SAP stuff all over the world for us. We also have very flexible employees. These employees are willing and capable to go the extra mile for the company, and to also have multiple heads, multiple roles, as you see in the matrix chart before. And of course, we are going for a cloud strategy. Since many years, we started about 8 or 9 years ago, transforming our infrastructure, especially in the beginning email, from on-premise to the cloud. We are with all our SAP systems, we are more or less in the private cloud, not yet in a public cloud. But these 3 points, strong partners, flexible employees, and a good and reliable cloud strategy helps us to address all the challenges with only 13+ employees in the IT. When we go over a little bit to the Perlen packaging point of view from IT, I would like to mention in advance that all what you see here is mainly done by the SAP team, application team in Perlen packaging, led by René Kuhn, which is responsible for all or more or less all of these nice things you see on this slide. So it's not especially me, it's more René and his team. On the top, you see a classical business process. That's what we also have in Perlen packaging. We sell something, then we produce it, we need to purchase some materials, and then we deliver it to the customer, and most important, we send out invoices to get the money. So when you see this process and you go down to the production, you see how we deliver our products from a production point of view. We start mainly in the calendar in Mülheim, as Philipp mentioned before, and then we do coating in Switzerland and China, and soon also in Brazil. And then we go for slitting, and then we go for packing and delivering. And I can assure you that there would be more arrows if we would put everything in place where material is flowing between our sites all over the world. The most important thing is not, besides the flow of the material, is also the flow of the information. A reel that is produced in Germany carries some information about it. Simple example, a defect after 225 meters, 15 centimeters from the right side. So when we are coating and when we are slitting later on all over the world, this information flows with the product from one side to the other, so that the man and the machine, the production worker, actually sees where are some problems with a reel. So that's a very important thing for us, also in terms of traceability. and all these certificates Philip mentioned before. So how do we achieve this? It looks easy on the right, but it's quite complicated. We have on the right side, the blue lines, we see the machine level where data is collected. We have some quality inspection system, optical systems. We saw the cameras before on the picture from Philip. We have some machine terminal systems we also saw on the pictures. And from there, data is transferred, all important data is transferred to our business and organizational level, let's say to SAP and very close systems beside SAP. So the key system is the MES CAD connector, which is doing the whole communication between the technical machine level and the business organizational level, all the SAP S4 systems and MES CAD systems from T.CON we have. You also see that we have 5 of them. So all over the world, for each plant, we have a CAD connector and an MES CAD system in place that is communicating, steering our production, controlling the production, handling the data, and sending the data with the reel from one location to the other. So that's a little bit of the overview of the architecture we have at the moment, and we are rolling out all over the world step by step. What is the outcome of these? All the things I mentioned before. We have what we see here is a picture of our slitting planning tool, SAP S4 based. And of course, the most important thing we do with that is optimizing the material we have, taking out as much good material and minimize the scrap. Because the more usage we can take out of a reel, the more we can sell and the less we have to throw away or reintegrate in the production process, depending on the product. So what we do a trim optimization. It's like a little bit, as an example, like cutting out small pieces out of a big carpet without losing a lot of the original base carpet. So minimize the scrap, optimize the product. When this is done, after this is done, we also send out data to the machine. So that we do the way backward from the organizational level I showed before to the machine level. And we are positioning the knives on our slitting machines according to this plan. So this is our automated process. And then we have camera-based effect recognition that also Philip showed us before, these cameras, so that we can get some information about the product, about the quality, and also about the way the slitting has taken place. And we store that again back to SAP in order to be available for all the processes that come after it. Packing, quality assurance, also even if it nearly not, we don't have it, of course, is customer complaints, but we still need to have this data in place so that we can answer questions from our customer side. What we plan to do, we plan to create or to make our systems more and more intelligent. So let's say instead of just taking pictures and waiting and looking to it manually, we want to add some artificial intelligence to automate or identify classes of defects and send out alarm mails or alarm information for the operator at the system and also for the quality department at the end of the day. The next thing we do, these are second example, we have an automated reel transport. This picture, I think, is from Mülheim, where we bring our reels from the calendar to the warehouse via these fully automated devices. We place it there. It's like similar to an exchange station, let's call it like that, where these automated devices are putting the reels, and another device is getting it and putting it into the warehouse. And this is done inbound as well as outbound when a roll is transferred then to a slitting machine on a dynamic and routing optimized way, of course, so that the target is always that we have the required roll at the required time in front of a slitting machine in order to put it in and create the final product for the customer. We have this plan to roll this type of automated roll transport system out to all our other locations. We start with that after the rollout of our new location in Brazil. That is also was also mentioned by Philip before. The next thing, and the next big thing, is the optimized machine setup. We are trying to get even more intelligence into our systems in terms of data acquisition. That's what I mentioned before. We are doing a lot of data sampling, machine-based, but also quality in terms of judging the quality of a roll by a human being, saying this is a very, very good roll, this is perhaps only a good roll, and so on. And we centralize all this data in a data management system, and then we analyze it. And we try to create this golden batch, as we call it. This means that we try to find out which are the settings and also the environmental conditions to create the best possible product. And then we try to set our machine always in a way that the best type of product is coming out of it. And what we do in the future is we want to integrate also our quality inspection systems in this process, not only the data from the machines and from the quality department, but also from our camera systems, and try to put in the settings automatically into our production environment, and also try to forecast possible problems, possible defects, so that we can avoid it before they happen. It's a very important task for us to try to prevent instead of react to problems. Last but not least, of course, we do some reporting. We have a centralized cockpit for KPIs. As you see here, this is SAP based, of course. Of course, we do it fully automated, the reporting, also for mobile devices. We have consistent and detailed informations all over the world, in every subsidiary, in all production sites, on all hierarchical levels, so that we don't have to discuss about figures because they are consistent all over the sites. Important, we have flexible connections to all kinds of data sources. It's not only SAP, but also our machine data, which can be integrated here. That is, or CAT data from MES CAT, which is very important for us to have the big picture on one page, like you see it here. Planned improvements are, of course, we want to add more KPIs, and we want to be broader, and we want to add some more details to drill down. So we want to be deeper in the information. That's what we try to do in the next few months and years, of course, because this process, all these optimization processes are an ongoing process, and will probably never end. So we will always try to get better and better and more optimized and more accurate for our customers, and try to take the most out of all the informations we have. Okay, then That's from the IC side. I will give back to Philip then.
Thank you, Hans-Peter. Well, always impressive to see how much we already achieved over the past years. So where do we want to go? What's our data-driven future? Drivers of excellence. Well, data drives decisions. I remember 12 years back, all the department managers, they had their Excel files and everybody had his own data. The data was not coming out of the same system. So I went to the IT team here in Perlen to learn and ask about what data do we have. So I realized we already have a lot of data, and what we made out of the data, you were just able to hear from Hans-Peter. So in future, we want to integrate now all these IoT and machine learnings, the supported process monitoring and automation, plus the information we get out of it, the digital twins. I'll talk about that later. Digital twin means centralized and make information available across locations and domains. This combined together, we want to create an even bigger set of data to drive our future decisions. So we want to create the digital twin for every reel. I apologize, there was one click, two more. So as said, we collect all the production parameters. And the next big step is to collect all the quality results. We already do that, but it's not integrated yet. That's the next big step, to integrate the inspection system I mentioned before into the production parameters. We want to collect all the business process parameters and integrate them. And together with that, we want to create a LU cockpit. LU means logistic unit. So that's one small reel. For 360-degree, all information on every roll ever produced, one click away. So the goal is to have a tool. I also went back to IT and said, well, we have all the data, but really I would like to know what happens to a reel. If I have a small reel, or even if I have a customer complaint, I want to see a small reel number. I want to click on it and I want to see what happened to it. I want to see where it is, has it been produced, how many defects were in there, how much scrap did we take out, did it end up in a customer complaint. So this information is available. We also have customer complaint handling in SAP, but now we want to integrate it. And another important thing is that to have the full digital documentation. Important burden in the pharmaceutical industry is the so-called audit trail. Our customers during audits want to see that, and we want to be able to show them that. One click on a reel, see the whole history of the reel, and integration across all locations in order to enable us for end-to-end audit trail for each produced roll, because we started to ship a lot of material between the sites. So for example, a site in China produces about 200 tons of master reels for the site in Switzerland. So we ship these reels here. We have some data on paper, but we don't have the full data, digital data available yet in Perlen. So in future, I want to know, okay, what's in this reel? How many defects are in this reel? How has it been produced? What was the production program? So these are the next step, more of the data integration. And another future idea we have, can we do auto production? Currently, we monitor the process stability. Each reel, the production and the quality equipment have to rate each reel. They can rate between 1 and 4 stars, and we collect this data. So in future, we want to actually see on the machine, if the machine realizes, well, I'm producing a bad reel now, based on the history we already have given into the system, we will give an alert system to the operators, telling the operator, be careful, you're producing a bad reel now. You're getting off the good corridor we defined as a good reel. So we want to communicate alarms to the operators in the first step, actionable data, give the operator an idea, well, you should check your coating temperatures, you should check your line speed, you should check your anti-coating void pressure rollers, and have the operator alerted. And in the second step, also think about having that done automatically by the system. So as you heard, we have done a lot, but we have many, many more ideas for future improvements. And all of those ideas are certainly very welcome from our customers in the pharmaceutical industry to stabilize our processes and make another next step in being and staying the technology leader as we want to be. That's our vision, and in improving our quality. Now I would like to hand over. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand over now to Thomas.
Thank you, Philipp. Thank you, Hans-Peter, for sharing these insights. If you ask me, I think that's a real success story. And from my point of view, as one of your partners, I can see at the end 5 main factors for their success. So let me go a little bit onto it. Number 1, you always try to get requirements integrated into your existing processes and infrastructure, and you always try to standardize the implementations, let's say, for a global use. Number 2, you're focusing on end-to-end scenarios into 2 dimensions. I think you already mentioned it. Processes without any media breaks on the horizontal, and a data flow in real time on the vertical, so to cover all system layers that are in place. Number 3, you strongly prefer to cover requirements with existing and proven vendors, technologies, platforms, and partners. At the end, it keeps your main infrastructure lean and opens the possibility to support and to improve with the same existing team, and especially the same knowledge of that team. So at the end, I think that's one of the advantages you have. Number 4, you're running continuous improvements to get implemented processes more efficient. And in many times you combine it with innovation products whenever possible. Number 5, that's in my opinion, at the end, the most important reason. Your whole organization is aligned with all the points I mentioned before. And at the end, that's the key for all of it. And if I think about the examples Philipp mentioned before, the KPI dashboard with the real-time production information, or the autopilot for production lines based on the machine learning scenarios, I can see there's a vision behind all of it. And maybe that's your personal way of operational excellence. So that's the title of the session today, and maybe to close up with that. And with this, we are at the end. Hans-Peter, Philipp, thank you very, very much for doing the session with us. And yeah, also for being one of your partners for the last 15 years, and hopefully also for the next 15 years. Will be a pleasure for us. And for all, thanks for your attention. And maybe let me invite you to our booth, to our virtual booth, for a Q&A or something like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all speakers for this really interesting presentation. As I can see, we still have a few minutes of time left, so I dare to look into the chat. And someone asked, I would like to know more about the trim optimization. Is this a standard SAP solution? And someone else already answered, the solution is Trim Suite from T.CON. Maybe one of the speakers wants to comment on this during this presentation to the large audience.
Thomas, I think you are the best one who can, because the answer was right in the chat.
Maybe you can spend 2 or 3 words on, what platform is used for that and how it's integrated, or whatever you can share.
Okay, I can take over that. That's one of our solutions. It's called the Trim Suite. It was already mentioned. It's on the ABAP platform. It's totally integrated into the S4 or to the ERP world. It doesn't matter what you have there in place. It's an add-on from us, from T.CON. You install it on the ERP or in the S4 system, and there are connectors with it for APO, or especially also for the PP world, for the SAP PP world, and then you can do the trim optimization at the end, all of the stuff. If there is anybody who wants to get more information about that, our expert is at our virtual booth, so maybe come there. We can talk a little bit more about that there.
Thank you for this insight. At the moment, I cannot see any further questions in the chat. So I guess we gonna conclude with this. Thanks again. And I think we can end this session by now. Thank you very much.